glad you've joined us on Wichita's Biz That Is on KGPT. Today we have a guest, Alan Badgley. Alan is with the Small Business Development Center, which is located out at WSU, and we're going to find some things out about the SBA and SBDC. Alan, I want some background. Where did you start out? Where's home?
Wow. Well, home now is obviously Wichita. I started out in Texas. I was actually born in Dallas and stayed.
You must not have been an oil man, or you wouldn't be up here.
Well, I'm not. I haven't been, but I'm working on it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I actually am. We've got our first 6 wells drilled in northwest Louisiana.
Wow.
So they're not producing yet, but we've got them drilled and we've hit oil and all of them.
An expectant oil man.
That's right. I certainly am. I guess you didn't. That probably caught you off guard. No, everybody that works at the Small Business Development Center has to be an entrepreneur, or at least have the entrepreneurial spirit.
Good, good. Okay, you started there, but give me the meanderings. How did you get to where you are?
I was in Texas for 36 years, and as you can imagine, Texas is a pretty big state. I started in Dallas, then we moved to East Texas when, in the early 70s, I went to Tyler Junior College and University of Texas at Tyler, and then
that because of the Rangerettes or not?
One of the Rangerettes are in Kilgore.
Kilgore, I'm sorry. But Tyler has some.
We have the Apache Bells.
Apache Bells, that's what it is.
I tried to be Apache Guard, and I just couldn't quite make it. That's about as close as I got to them. But we were in Tyler. Then after that, I moved back to Dallas and was in Dallas for another 8 years, and then moved to South Texas, halfway between Houston and Corpus Christi, in a little town called Edna. And then from Edna, moved to South Carolina. And then from South Carolina, I commuted to the Midwest for a year and a half before I finally was able to move here.
Was that businesses all the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What, any in particular? Were you in one field or many fields?
No, I started out in the public utility. I was with Texas Utilities, or TU Electric at the time. And I left in their downsizing program, and that's whenever I moved to South Texas. And that was my first for-profit. TU Electric was, but it was a public utility. Right. I moved to an electric co-op, who is a nonprofit, but I worked with them for they were part of the DirecTV program through National Rural Telecommunications Cooperative. So that was my first real business opportunity. I started up our for-profit division, and we did very well. I learned a lot about marketing, advertising, customer service, just about all of it, running that.
Very good.
Then we moved to South Carolina in the same program with DirecTV, with one of the consolidators of the territories, the way it worked out, and continued being a what they called a general manager for a cluster of territory, and then it became a regional sales manager position, basically. That's whenever I moved out to Wichita.
What got you to the SBA?
Well, the SBDC.
Okay.
There's a fine difference there.
But isn't the SBDC part of SBA?
It's funded by the SBA.
Okay.
And the way it's not like splitting hairs really, but it's a little bit of a clarification. The Kansas Small Business Development Center is funded by the Small Business Administration, the SBA, so that's our federal funding. We're also funded by the Kansas Department of Commerce on the state level, and then we have a host institution that supports us and hosts us. In this case, that's Wichita State University, for where our office is.
Right. It's out at the Metro Complex.
Correct. Correct. We are one of 17 locations across the state for the Kansas Small Business Development Center's 9 regions, or 8 regions, and we have various satellite offices. In our region, we have 2, one in Cowley County and one in Cloud County.
What was the attraction? Why did you want to go there?
Well, actually, I had somebody call me. I had left Wichita State University at the foundation. I was actually fundraising for 2 years. I thought, okay, I'll try something.
With Elizabeth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And after 2 years, I really decided I wanted to be a consultant. I wanted to do business consulting. I'd worked with several really incredible people in the fundraising, and I thought, I'm going to go to the other end. And so I left and started working and actually doing oil work. I was doing landman work and was consulting when Frank Corriego, who was the assistant director, gave me a call and said, would I consider coming up? I had met him in one of the business ventures I was in. He was actually my consultant. So we knew of each other and had kept up with each other, and then he called me. So I came up and started doing independent consulting for about almost 5 years before I came on. I was practically there full time, but I was independent.
How did you be? You're now the assistant director.
Yes.
Okay. How did that transpire?
Well, Frank, it seems like everybody that comes in there leaves with their business venture. Frank is much the parallel entrepreneur. It's what I call those that have several things going at once. And he's working on a business of his own. And then after he left, then Dave Mace was his successor. And then Dave left on his business ventures, and then I'm kind of the sole survivor.
Very good. Marcia is a good friend. Do you enjoy working with her?
Absolutely. Frank told me when he first recruited me, he said, I found that Marcia's probably the best supervisor and co-worker I've ever had, and I would totally agree with that.
Well, that's a good point at which we'll take a break, and we'll be back in just a few moments with more of Wichita's Biz That Is.